Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking on our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight sounds a little tense. It's called The Breaking Point. And the reason why there can be somebody reaching a breaking point in the next week is because of the placement of two very strong planets, but they're in harsh aspect to each other. And that is because the exalted Mars in Capricorn, along with Pluto in Capricorn, and those two are conjuncting each other, which heightens their power, are both squaring Uranus in Aries. Uranus itself is backed up really well. It is trined by the Moon and Jupiter in Leo, which means that somebody who wants to be rebellious, a little bit ahead of their time, they certainly want to do things their way and not listen to anybody else, can be getting a lot of support behind the scenes from people who can be sort of egging them on or cheering them on right now. So that could be great, only the world has changed. And that is depicted by the fact that Mars and Pluto in Capricorn, first of all, Mars is exalted, and those two planets which are conjuncting each other are the rulers of Scorpio, which rules financing and justice, and above all, survival. Those two planets are they are backed up even better than Uranus is. And so they are a real powerhouse, and they certainly have the power tipped in their favor. And so Mars and Pluto in Capricorn, a business sign which rules management in large corporations or government agencies, and Capricorn also rules long-term security. So those are the things that can be the focus of people's financial efforts right now. Those two planets are being solidly backed up by 4 planets that are in Scorpio, including Capricorn's ruler. So they're very harmonious. Those 6 planets are very harmonious with each other. And so the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn are all in Scorpio, and they are sextiling Mars and Pluto in Capricorn, which are then squaring Uranus in Aries. The reason why there can be a breaking point being reached right now is because the pressure can't last. And somebody's going to win, and it's certainly going to be the planets in Capricorn, not only because they're stronger in combination than Uranus is in Aries, but because they are so solidly backed up by the planets in Scorpio, that this is a time when the rule book wins. It means that people are wanting us to wanting organizations or co-workers or people in business or government agencies to get back to doing things in a way that makes people get along with each other, and in a way that can be very productive and strengthen the bottom line. So there can be quite a bit of emphasis on making sure that people can afford things now, and that can be the government agencies or the corporations, whether they can afford things now. And the reason why that's important to all of us, and particularly to our financial survival, is that without corporations or companies being in business, if they're not in business and they're not profitable, they can't hire people. If they don't hire people, there won't be any jobs. But if they do hire people and there are more jobs, then we can all be able to take care of our family because we'll have paychecks. That makes sense, doesn't it? And so this is an important time to make sure that our large institutions and organizations are able to support themselves and are able to grow so that our economy and our families can grow and be provided for as well. And so there are some people that don't want to listen to the rule book. They don't want to adhere to having to get the best credentials or get adequate training or get that degree that is required. Or they don't really, they want something, but they don't want to be really well prepared for it. And that's not going to work anymore. Also, people can just be rebellious. They can have the idea, well, do it my way or take the highway. They don't care. And that kind of an attitude isn't going to work either, because this is a time when we all need to conform. And conformity might cramp your style a little bit, but if it helps you get along with others and it helps you get a good job or helps your retirement, building for it, then that is another reason to sort of conform right now. So not everybody has to be a rebel, but the people that want to be are going to reach a breaking point, and it's right about now. These planets are exactly squaring each other. And so that's what we need to be careful of. And if you're at a breaking point, you need to ask yourself where you want to go next, because it is the rule book that wins right now, and nothing else does. So that is why we will really have to conform. And the result is that not everyone is going to get their way right now, and particularly not people who just want to have their way. In other words, people who want to sort of say, do it my way. And first of all, that's not a team approach. And secondly, they themselves may not be very well qualified to lead others in some sort of training effort or in some sort of team effort. And the reason why they may not be well enough qualified is because they might have skipped over a few things that would put them in a better position to be qualified. So if a person is a good talker right now, that may not do them much good. And one of the reasons why is that there are no planets in the air signs. There's nothing in Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. So there isn't a way to put a convincing spin on anything right now. And there is a tremendous effort underway to make sure that people conform in a way that gets those that are well qualified and very productive into some sort of organization so that they can make good money and they can provide for their families. That's really important, and that's what keeps civilization going. And I think the reason why there's such an effort now to not be a one-night stand, but instead really fit in with people and try to see the big picture and go for that instead, is that survival is at stake right now. This has become a very dangerous world, a somewhat lawless world. And so not everyone is surviving, and we have to step back from everybody wanting to do things their own way to showing more respect for the law, or working in partnership with people and trying to compromise a little bit. It's been a tough year. But I think that as we go forward right now, if we can follow some of the rules and stabilize ourselves and the companies or organizations we belong to, then we're all going to be strong together, and that will help set us up for a little bit more stability and security, because that's what the focus is on now, not on being the Lone Ranger, but on really trying to fit in. So what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think you could be on the point of some sort of a breakup, or simply you could reach a breaking point of your own, because Aries is full of confidence, and yours is the sign of the pioneer. And so you could be thinking, yes, you want something and you're going to go after it. If you have the right credentials, and if you haven't skipped any steps, and if you have a work record that proves that you're well qualified to get ahead, then you will, Aries. Don't worry about it. And your sign has backup. It has the moon and Jupiter in Leo trining it. And so that simply means there can be somebody that is very much in your corner, sort of cheering you on, provided that you've already done your homework, Aries, and you are qualified. But what if you're not? What if you've skipped those steps? What if you didn't get the degree, or you didn't get the certifications necessary, or you don't have a steady work record that shows you have an outstanding performance in some sort of job already? Then I don't think that you're going to get anything, because the emphasis with Mars, your own ruler, and Pluto squaring your sun is on following the rules and doing everything in a way that will stabilize the bottom line and make everyone productive, including you. And so it isn't so much about ego right now, Aries. It's more about whether you're qualified for something or not. If you are, you'll get it. If you're not, you'll be passed over. And you'll just simply have to realize that that's the price you pay for speeding ahead a little bit. Most efforts do take a while, And an Aries doesn't like to slow down. But this is a time when I think that, you know, you're going to have to really try hard to fit in, or else you will reach a breaking point, and that is when you might break away and decide to go in a different direction. If you move on right now, Aries, I think that you'll be successful. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that if I were you. The choice is yours. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this is simply a time when I think there can be a surprising upset behind the scenes. And the reason why is that Uranus in Aries is right behind your sun sign, but it is being sorely challenged by Mars and Pluto in Capricorn, and it's exact. That harsh square is exact right now. So there is going to be some surprise in the background of your life right now, Taurus, and it will catch you by surprise. And that's because you may be amazed at who reaches their breaking point right now. It's not going to be you, Taurus, because yours is a steady, fixed financial earth sign, and very little could tip you over. The thing that you do have to worry about is the fact that there are 6 planets in fixed signs right now. Last week there were only 5, but there's been an additional one because the Moon and Jupiter in Leo are squaring your Sun, and now the Sun, Mercury, Venus, your own ruler, and Saturn are all opposing your Sun sign. And that means that you are facing higher costs, either because of higher taxes, or because of higher credit, or interest rates that could go up. And so, you know, your budget is subject to change right now, Taurus. You might decide to retire or to draw on money from a retirement fund, and that would be a good idea to tide you over. But in addition to that, there is going to be some surprising upset in the background of your life. Not to you, but it will certainly be around you. You'll see it happening to somebody, Taurus, and I think you'll be amazed. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, remember I said there are no planets in the air signs right now. That's rather unusual, and there have been planets in the air signs all year long, particularly in the sign of Libra. But now there isn't anything, and so that simply means, Gemini, that there isn't any way to put a spin on anything, that the facts have to speak for themselves, and that there isn't any way you can change them. So everyone may be getting reassessed based on their performance record, or their attendance record, or the qualifications that they have earned, the credentials they have earned in preparation for their job. And believe me, management in large corporations and government organizations or agencies are really going to be looking at how to be most productive and stabilize that bottom line. And that means going by the rule book, but that also means cutting out all the fat. And so that simply means that if you've been coasting along, sort of picking up a pretty good salary, not having to do too much for it, I think those days are over, Gemini. And instead, if you do have the right qualifications, you're not going to have to say a word because they'll stand out and that'll be fine. But if you don't have the right qualifications, you may reach a breaking point yourself simply because of the pressure that is being put on everybody now to be a sort of a high performer, or to prove that you've been a high performer, because those are the only people that are going to be kept if there are any kinds of layoffs. And so that means that there isn't any way to sort of smooth things over or promote yourself right now, Gemini. Your future will depend on what your past efforts have been instead. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is simply a time when I think that you are going to be faced with some sort of surprising shake-up. It may not happen to you, Cancer, and it isn't going to affect you financially, meaning that it's not going to threaten your own financial stability, because that's really in place and it's not moving. In fact, it could increase, actually, because the 4 planets in Scorpio trine your Sun, and so does Neptune in Pisces. Neptune will go direct in 2 days. That simply means that you may have the money to make a dream come true, Cancer. And so now the only question is, when are you going to have the time to do that? You may be getting the time soon, because Mars and Pluto are opposing your Sun sign, and they are also squaring Uranus in Aries, which is also squaring your sun sign. And so that simply means that there is going to be somebody that is going to reach a breaking point. It can be your employer, Cancer. It might be that they have decided, oops, we've got to cut out something right now in order to get through the winter or in order to stabilize our bottom line. And so you may be facing a cutback, or your job might be eliminated, and it also might be done. If you've been on some certain project, maybe it's over right now. But that won't affect you in the long run because you already have some good financial stability in your life. And that's why I think if you get a little bit more free time, Cancer, try to spend it on making a dream come true, because the aspects really favor that right now. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, I think that this is a time when you can be excited even if somebody does reach a breaking point, because after all, they may go in a new direction and ask you to go with them, and that could sort of put you in motion and get you excited. So there can be something rather unexpected in your future. But I would look before I leap, Leo, because the problem is there are 6 planets in fixed signs. The moon and Jupiter are in your sign today, Leo, which is wonderful. That can make you glow and make you very optimistic, and can certainly make you a leader and can make you stand out. By itself, that is great. But there are 4 planets in Scorpio squaring the 2 that are in your sign, and they are very, very strong, stronger than the 2 that are in your sign. And so that means that the sun, your own ruler, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn in Scorpio are squaring your sun sign. And that simply means that you really have to attend to financial matters. It doesn't mean you're necessarily broke, Leo, but what it means is that you need to reallocate your funds somehow so that you can pay off bills, or so that you have some extra savings if your taxes go up this year. Or it can simply be that if your credit is a little bit stretched, you need to attend to that, because that's going to hang on, and that could make you even subject to not getting a job if you have any tax or budget problems. So that's what has to be addressed. So even if you want to take off for something new, I think you need to cover your financial bases first, because it's all about survival right now, Leo. And so that's what needs to be tended to first. Even if you have to sell something to clear up a few bills, that would be a good idea right now, and sort of get that burden off your shoulders. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is simply a time when I think that as people are insisting on following the rules and on doing things right and on having the proper credentials and a really good work record, I think that you will come to the front of the class right now, Virgo, because that's the way you work. That's the way you live. You like to do things in a more modest way. You're not looking for praise or adulation. I mean, I'm sure you'd love to get a raise just like everybody else, but what you're really looking for in your life is to do your job in the best way possible and in the most efficient way. You're always looking for a way to sort of cut things out and make things go smoother and in a more productive way. So I think you are headed for some sort of promotion, or it can simply be with these 6 planets that are all harmoniously aspecting your sun sign, that there can be more money coming your way. That's from the 4 planets in Scorpio, and a promotion because Mars and Pluto in Capricorn trine your sun. So I think that you are a person who may be setting the standard for what the company or your employer wants from everybody now. And if everybody doesn't want to do that, then they are going to lose, because it is people like you that can get companies through thick and thin. And if things get a little thin, you are a person that they can really bank on. And that's why you're probably going to get a promotion or a raise. You do deserve it. So good luck, Virgo. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, there aren't any planets in the air signs right now. That simply means that communication is not at its height. That isn't what people are looking for. People are looking for facts. They're looking for a performance record. They are looking for the proper credentials that qualify people to be in a certain position. And they're looking for all kinds of things that make a person a good employee, or somebody who has the training to be a good employee. There can be some hiring, but only of people with the highest standards. And so I think, Libra, that you can be somewhat upset by someone else reaching a breaking point. I don't necessarily think it's going to be you, but the Mars and Pluto in Capricorn are squaring your sun sign, and there isn't anything in your sun sign, which is rare because there's been a planet in your sun sign throughout the whole year, but there isn't anymore because Mercury moved and went into Scorpio. And so, Libra, you have got somebody who's very insistent on doing things exactly right. And if you're dealing with a government agency, that means they want you to fill out all the paperwork in triplicate, I'm sure, in order to get what you want. So it isn't that you're really going to reach a breaking point, because if there's a financial incentive for you to follow along and do things by the rule book, this is a good time for you to do that. Those planets there are 4 planets in Scorpio right ahead of your sun sign, so you could make more money by going along and doing whatever the company wants from you. At the same time, though, Uranus in Aries is opposing your sun sign, and that's where the pressure is coming from. That planet, Uranus, is being harshly squared by Mars and Pluto, and Mars and Pluto are the heavy-duty hitters. And so anyone who doesn't want to conform, or who only wants to have it their way and is refusing to compromise, they're not a good partner. They could reach a breaking point, and that could affect you in one way or another, Libra. So I don't think your life is going to stay the same right now, but I would say that if anybody takes off right now, you're not going to miss them, because they weren't partnership oriented anyway, and you know that. And so you might be better off if somebody reaches a breaking point right now, Libra. If I were you, I would just stay calm and do nothing right now and be real, real quiet and wait and see what happens, okay? All right, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is simply a time when I think that if the rules have to be followed, you are going to be the person that might even be writing the rules, because you're certainly going to benefit. Your rulers, Mars and Pluto, are in Capricorn, and they are squaring Uranus in Aries, which is setting up so much pressure that somebody's going to reach a breaking point, but it's somebody that isn't very well qualified, or it's somebody that is only thinking of themselves and certainly not not capable of a team effort, or certainly not capable of being a good leader right now. And so with the 2 planets, your rulers in Capricorn, sextiling the 4 planets that are in your sun sign, Scorpio, and because they are all fortified, they're all trined by Neptune in Pisces, which is going to go direct in 2 days, I would say, Scorpio, that you are right on the verge of being able to make a dream come true, and yes, you can afford it. And you might even be surprised by that. You might have been thinking of something that you have wanted to have happen for years, and be surprised that if you look around right now, yes, you can afford it, and yes, the dream could come true. And so that is what you need to pursue right now, Scorpio, and forget trying to please everybody else. Think about your future, particularly about a dream that is certainly within reach. You can do it, Scorpio. Just concentrate on it, and you can afford it. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, this is simply a time when I think that you can have the potential to sort of go in a new direction very, very quickly. It can be because people are egging you on and you're getting a lot of support because the Moon and Jupiter are in Leo trining your Sun. Or it can be that someone else reaches a breaking point and they move on, and that could leave an opening for you. So all of that is very fortunate for you right now, Sagittarius. And I think that if either you or somebody that you know is making a swift change, I think that in one way or another it can work to your benefit. I just don't know how, but it can work to your benefit. So I hope you are very alert to change right now, Sagittarius, because I think it will be very, very quick, but that it can open up something for you right now. And if you're alert to it, then you'll be the first in line to take advantage of it. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, This is simply a time when I think you are a powerhouse, when you know what is right, or you know the proper procedures, or you know that how important it is for people to comply right now by the rule book and be qualified for something. And so you do have rather high standards right now, Capricorn, and some other people are not agreeing with them. And that is because Uranus and Aries is squaring the planets in your sun sign. You have such tremendous backup right now, though, with those 4 planets in Scorpio sextiling your sun, that I think this is a time when you should pause, Capricorn, and think a lot more about what you would rather be doing, because it looks to me like you can afford something else. You may be able, Capricorns are very security prone. You would work until you were 100 if it meant that you were ensuring your long-term security. But would you be happy, Capricorn? Because you're in a power seat right now. You do know the right way to do something. If someone else isn't agreeing with you right now, then they are using you in a funny kind of a way to train them to be like you. Do you want to waste your time on that, Capricorn? No, because they want to skip steps. They sort of want you to do their work for them. I would cut all that out, Capricorn, and think a lot more about what you would rather be doing and try to arrange your time in order to do that so that you can be happy. Because money is one thing and happiness is another. And it would be nice if you had both. And I think you've got the money, Capricorn, but are you really happy? Because if you're not, this is a good time to consider a change. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is simply a time when I think that you are going to be very, very affected either by someone else who's reaching a breaking point, or it could be you, Aquarius. And the reason why it could be you is, one, there's no fortification among the air signs because there's no planets in the air signs. And 2, there are 6 planets in fixed signs. The moon and Jupiter in Leo are opposing your sun sign, which means a very nice person, somebody who could be a little bit glamorous or perhaps even famous, is going to move on. They're going to leave you, Aquarius, and they're already thinking of it. They're just waiting for the right time, and it could be any time now. And the 4 planets in Scorpio are squaring your sun, and that simply means that there are financial matters that you really need to attend to, and they're sort of overwhelming right now. You really need to look at all of that. So those 6 planets are harshly aspecting your sun sign, and then it is the planet that rules your sun sign, Uranus, that is being so harshly and exactly squared by Mars and Pluto in Capricorn. So there's going to be a breaking point in your life, Aquarius. It's going to be either you or somebody right around you, and you will have to deal with it. And I think that the fallout from it will represent some sort of a loss. And it might not be you that's losing, but it could be somebody around you who has decided that perhaps it's not worth it to them to stick around, and so they could decide to leave. Either that, or else somebody may determine that you are not qualified for something, and then you could lose out because of that. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a very wonderful time for you, and the reason why is that, first of all, Neptune, your own ruler, which is in your sun sign for the first time in your life, is about to go direct in 2 days. That's great, because that'll get you on the road toward a dream of yours, Pisces. And then, where's the money for that? Well, it's around somewhere, Pisces, because the 4 planets in Scorpio, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, are all trining your sun sign and your ruler, Neptune, which, as I said, is about to go direct. And the planets in Capricorn, Mars and Pluto, are sextiling your sun. You have a tremendous amount of strength backing you up right now, Pisces. You are either with the right group or the right employer, or you know where there is some extra money you can get your hands on. And all of that is going to help you make a dream come true at last. So it doesn't mean that you can jump real swiftly into something. It means you have to carefully plan for success, actually, right now, Pisces. And even if it takes you a little while to get everything together, you can be successful, particularly at something that you've been really wanting to do. On the other hand, since Uranus is right ahead of your sun sign, you are going to be able to see someone else who can be reaching a breaking point right now. And there could be an explosion. There could be some sort of fallout. There could certainly be a surprise that you can see right in front of you, Pisces. And I would urge you not to jump in. And that is because it doesn't have anything to do with you. So don't get involved, Pisces. Sort of stand back right now and think how close you are to making a dream come true, because you are. All right, thanks so much. Remember, you can see the show anytime you want by subscribing to it on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.